A very warm welcome to Raj Malhotra IAS. Good morning and welcome to the daily current affairs and MCQ series. Right, so let's get started with the most interesting articles that we are going to discuss today. So there are certain projects in the country which, although might be important for some other reasons, but they are in the news right now for some of the bad reasons, and that is the damage that they are going to cause to the environment and ecology, and apart from that, the troublesome clearances from the respective authorities in the central government and in the state government. One such project is the Ken-Betwa river linking project from Madhya Pradesh to Uttar Pradesh, which we are going to discuss. Right. So what becomes important from your exam perspective is basically the Ken-Betwa river link project, the Panna Tiger Reserve, who is going to have a loss of its core area land, and apart from that, the National Water Development Agency. Right. So let's discuss the things which we are important. December 2021 was the time when the Union Cabinet had given approval, and it had said that they are going to complete this in a span of 8 years. That is the linking between the Ken river in Madhya Pradesh and the Betwa in the Uttar Pradesh. Right. Apart from that, the objective is to bring surplus water to the Bundelkhand region of Uttar Pradesh, which is a water deficit area, for irrigation, drinking water and flood control and hydel power from the Madhya Pradesh or from the state of Madhya Pradesh. Right. Apart from that, the Union Budget 2022, that is the present this year budget, it has provided for 1400 crore rupees for the project that has been earmarked as the financial allocation. But now comes the challenges, or you can say the demerits. First, the matter has ended up being sub judice. That is, the Supreme Court is hearing a petition which has challenged the viability of this project, and that is why the forest clearance, the wildlife clearance, they both are right now hanging in the air. Right. Apart from that, another con is that the submergence of a major chunk of the core area of the Panna Tiger Reserve. What is this going to lead to? This certainly is going to lead to destruction of the habitat for the tigers. Apart from that, a major loss to the prey species such as the cheetal and the sambar. Right. So that is going to have an adverse effect on the species of the Panna Tiger Reserve, which certainly cannot be provided for very easily. Either you have to discontinue the project itself, or you'll have to bear with this loss. Right. So that is the bare minimum that anybody would want to happen. Now take a look at this map. Here you have the Panna Tiger Reserve, and this is the state of Madhya Pradesh, that is MP, where we all know this Panna Tiger Reserve is located. And here you have the Ken River, which is said to be water surplus, and from there you are trying to connect this area in Madhya Pradesh to this area in Uttar Pradesh, that is the Betwa River, and this is going to be the link canal. Right. So I believe this is geographically this is clear to you that what exactly we are trying to link here. ठीक है, कहाँ से आप पानी लेके जाना चाह रहे हो, पन्ना से या कह लो के Ken river से to the Betwa region or the Bundelkhand region. Right, that is what they are planning to do. Right. Right. So then when we talk about some other things, that what exactly is the issue at hand. So look, certainly this requires a great amount of, all the forest clearances, all the land clearances need to be obtained, and apart for those there are certain preconditions. What are the preconditions particularly for this Ken Betwa linking project? जो preconditions रखी हैं वो ये है कि पन्ना टाइगर रिजर्व में there are certain satellite cores where you need to declare 3 sanctuaries. मतलब कि उनको आप you will grant them protection and you will not allow those habitats to get destructed. Apart from that, you will have to recount the trees which are going to be cut. Now this is certainly going to be time consuming. ये इतनी जल्दी नहीं हो सकता, and that is why the state of Madhya Pradesh, that is still not clear that whether they'll be able to recount these trees or not. Apart from that, revising the project's cost benefit analysis to justify its viability. Certainly the money cannot be pumped in blindly. You have to weigh in the cost benefit analysis, and that is where the financial prudence or the financial angle viability also, or the financial viability angle also comes into place. Right. Then certainly these conditions are yet to be fulfilled. That is why this is a question mark which is hanging over the head of the project. Right. And certainly there's another point to be noted here, that is the Supreme Court itself right now is disposed of the matter. It is hearing this matter, and one very severe, or I would say one very significant thing which the Supreme Court is looking into is right now that whether this, it poses the serious challenge to the very objective of the legislature in enacting the wildlife and forest laws, that whether these laws are in actual or in reality protecting the wildlife. Are the laws really benefiting for the, for the intended purposes for which they were enacted? कि जिस काम के लिए वाइल्ड लाइफ को और फॉरेस्ट को प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए आपने ये लॉज बनाए थे, क्या वो पर्पस सर्व हो भी रहा है, या वेरी इजीली जस्ट यू आर एबल टू वाइट वॉश द लॉज, यू आर जस्ट एबल टू ट्विस्ट द प्रोविजंस एंड यू आर एबल टू वॉक अवे, और आप जो है सिग्निफिकेंट डैमेज पहुंचा रहे हो वाइल्ड लाइफ को भी और फॉरेस्ट को भी, राइट? सो दैट सर्टनली सुप्रीम कोर्ट अगर इसके ऊपर जो है कोई मान लो स्ट्रिक्ट ऑर्डर्स देता है, देन सर्टनली दैट इज गोइंग टू हैव एन इफेक्ट, राइट? चलिए, सो आई बिलीव दैट वी हैव डिस्कस्ड दिस इशू एट लेंथ. लेट्स टेक सम, लेट्स टेक अ कपल ऑफ क्वेश्चंस नाउ. Yes. So, which of the following statements is or are correct with respect to the Ken-Betwa river linking project? First, one of the preconditions to obtain stage 1 forest clearance for the project is to compensate for the diverted forest land for the purpose of this project. And second, the Chief Conservator of Forest Madhya Pradesh has already identified and provided for this compensated land. Yes, please mark your answers in the comment section. Good morning Ahana, Pranjal, Mayank, good morning Sartaj. Okay, so Supriyo says A, and Mehboob is saying that we've heard that over a span of 66 to 7 decades the river changes its course. Yeah, precisely. देखो river का जो course है, it is, it is always changing. The river, it is not a static thing, and certainly the course gets changed over some decades. So that is potentially one, ground of challenge. Yes, please quickly mark your answers before we start discussing the statements. Okay, Kapil also says A, Sartaj says A. Great. So precisely that is the case, that right now this is, this land has not been identified completely. ठीक है, जितनी लैंड यूज जो हो रही है इस पर्टिकुलर प्रोजेक्ट के लिए, जो डाइवर्ट की गई है फ्रॉम द फॉरेस्ट लैंड टू प्रोवाइड फॉर दिस केन बेतवा लिंकिंग, that has not been compensated for right now, right? So this is absolutely false. Answer will be A, precisely. So देखो, अगर exactly बात करें, if we exactly talk about the numbers, then certainly the total land which has been diverted right now, मध्य प्रदेश सिर्फ 42 स्क्वायर किलोमीटर ऑफ रेवेन्यू लैंड आइडेंटिफाई कर पाया. द रेस्ट, दैट इज द रिमेनिंग 18 स्क्वायर किलोमीटर इज येट टू बी आइडेंटिफाइड, and what they are saying is that they have only 42 square kilometer to be provided for as compensation, and the rest they say the degraded forest land जो बचा हुआ remaining 18 square kilometer है, इसका हम डबल करके प्रोवाइड कर देंगे, that is 36 square kilometer. But that remains to be seen कि क्या इसके बेसिस पे ये फॉरेस्ट क्लियरेंस ग्रांट की जाएगी या नहीं की जाएगी, राइट? सो दैट इज द प्रेजेंट सिनारियो हियर विद रिस्पेक्ट टू द केन बेतवा फॉरेस्ट क्लियरेंस, राइट? और जो फाइनल, देखो, जो फाइनल फॉरेस्ट क्लियरेंस आएगी ना, दैट इज गोइंग टू बी डिपेंडेंट अपॉन द प्रिलिमिनरी स्टेज और द फर्स्ट स्टेज ऑफ द फॉरेस्ट क्लियरेंस. तो अभी चैलेंज जो है वो इसी स्टेज पे ही है. फर्स्ट स्टेज पे ही अभी क्लियरेंस ग्रांट नहीं हुई है, तो फाइनल क्लियरेंस तो भी दूर की बात है, राइट? चलिए, so let's take another question now. Yes, which of the following statements is or are correct with respect to the National Water Development Agency? First, the 69th meeting of the governing body of the National Water Development Agency held recently was chaired by the Union Environment Minister. And second, the NWDA was set up as an autonomous society under the Societies Registration Act 1860. Hanji. So this body is in news along with this project So what should be the answer here? Okay, Supriyo says the C. चलिए ठीक है, I'll just wait for a couple of seconds more and then we'll start discussing the statements. Great. So we have C, B, and A, all sorts of answers. Right. So look, as far as the NWDA is concerned, that functions not under the Environment Ministry, but that functions under the Ministry of Jal Shakti. Right. So first will be incorrect because Union Environment Minister or the Union Environment Ministry is not the body or the ministry under which it is functioning. Yes, exactly, Ahana and Mehboob. It is the Jal Shakti Ministry. So this is incorrect. Then certainly as far as its constitution is concerned, so it was set up as an autonomous society under the Societies Registration Act, and hence the second statement is absolutely right. So your answer will be only 2, that is the second statement is right. Exactly. ठीक है. Chalo. So this was held under the Ministry of Jal Shakti and it was chaired by the Secretary Ministry of Jal Shakti. It has participation from the Environment Ministry, it had participation from the Niti Aayog as well, right? So multiple levels pe participation thi, but it was held under the Ministry of Jal Shakti, right? Okay, so let's move to the next article now that concerns the International Space Station, which is going to be retired or which is going to cease operations by late 2030s. That is what the official announcement and a detailed plan कि किस तरीके से इंटरनेशनल स्पेस स्टेशन के ऑपरेशंस को सीज किया जाएगा, खत्म किया जाएगा, इसको रिटायर कर देगा नासा, राइट? सो what becomes important from your exam perspective is basically the International Space Station, role of NASA and space related recent developments, right? So right now what the case is there that NASA has announced that it is going to cease the operation of its International Space Station, you know, after it was envisaged by former US President Ronald Reagan in the 1984-85 era. उसके बाद इसको develop किया गया था and it had been orbiting Earth at a speed of about 8 kilometers per second, right, with astronauts on board, with cosmonauts and astronauts both being on board. So what was the basic idea was that कि एक permanent ऐसी facility हो जो space में revolve करती रहे और उसके साथ साथ जो है नई जो भी discoveries हैं उसके लिए constantly काम करे, right? So that is how the ISS was planned and it was brought into existence. So it weighs around 1 million pounds and it is approximately, we can say, of the same size of an American football field, just to give you an idea of how exactly this space is there. So it can support a crew of 6 people along with the visitors, and it also houses laboratory modules not just from the United States but also from Russia, Japan and other European countries. So look, although Russia and United States of America, although on Earth they are fighting over the Ukrainian crisis, US and Russia, but still they are united in the space, right? So at the end of the day, humanity has to remain united only. Chalo. So that is some of the facts regarding the ISS. Let's take a question and through that we are going to discuss how it is going to get retired. Yes. Which of the following statements is or are correct with respect to International Space Station? First, it will cease operations in 2031 and then it will fall out of orbit to end up in the South Atlantic Ocean. Second, the point Nemo is around 2700 km away from the land where this descent is being planned. Yes, so what should be the answer here? Good morning, Atul Sharma. Okay, Ahana says B and Supriyo also says B. Okay, so if you are saying that this point Nemo is where the descent is being planned, that is fine, and this is a faraway land or faraway point from the land which is going to or which has made it into, you can say, a space symmetry of sorts, right, that these space projects are buried here. But why is this statement incorrect? Is it 2031 or is it the ocean because of which this statement is incorrect? Hanji. Yeah, exactly. Nemo is in the absolutely fine. Yes, this Atlantic here is wrong. This should have been Pacific. That this point Nemo is in the South Pacific Ocean where the descent is being planned in the year 2031 by NASA. Right? Hanji, bilkul Pranjal. Nemo is in the southern part of the Pacific Ocean. Absolutely, absolutely. ठीक है, तो answer exactly should be B. That is question number 3 answer will be B. Right. So look, what exactly NASA is saying is that कि इसको जो है अभी साउथ पैसिफिक ओशन में अराउंड 2031 देयर प्लानिंग कि इसको जो है इसकी डिसेंट को लोअर किया जाएगा, राइट, एंड इट विल बी पुश्ड थ्रू द साउथ पैसिफिक ओशन टू फर्दर प्लंज इनटू दैट, right, and that is how it is going to, yes, exactly, the ocean was wrong here, and that is how exactly they are going to bring this to an end. ठीक है, चलो, great. So moving to the next article now. So we had, you know, a great amount of ruckus in the parliament concerning how India has, you know, maybe directly or indirectly led to Pakistan and China coming closer, and that is why the Indian Express has, you know, got this article beautifully explaining how the China-Pakistan relationship has evolved over the years, what is the impact of that evolving relation, why China and Pakistan right now are the all-weather friends, right? So let's quickly discuss some of the basic things. एग्जाम पर्सपेक्टिव से देखो, दोनों प्रीलिम्स पर्सपेक्टिव से साथ ही साथ मेंस पर्सपेक्टिव से ये एनालिसिस आपके लिए इंपॉर्टेंट है कि चाइना के साथ इंडिया के क्या टाइज है और चाइना के पाकिस्तान के साथ क्या टाइज है, बिकॉज दैट इज द कॉमन एलिमेंट हेयर, राइट, एंड व्हाट इज द इम्पैक्ट इट इज हैविंग ऑन इंडिया. ठीक है, क्योंकि अल्टीमेटली इट इज गोइंग टू बी इवैल्यूएटेड और द यूपीएससी वुड बी इंटरेस्टेड इन व्हाट इज द इम्पैक्ट व्हिच इंडिया इज फेसिंग और हाउ द रिलेशनशिप इज इम्पैक्टिंग इंडियाज इंटरेस्ट, राइट. सो पहली बात तो है कि पाकिस्तान की इकोनॉमिक डिपेंडेंस जो है दैट हैज, यू नो, एवर इंक्रीजिंगली बिकमिंग मोर एंड मोर डिपेंडेंट अपॉन चाइना, एंड बीजिंग जो है दैट इज द बेस्ट बेट फॉर अ फेलिंग इकोनॉमी ऑफ पाकिस्तान, राइट. दे हैव, यू नो, अमेरिकन से इन्होंने जितना पैसा लेना था ले चुके हैं, उसके बाद अब अमेरिका ऑल्सो हैज, दे हैव, यू नो, दे हैव स्टॉप्ड सपोर्टिंग पाकिस्तान इकोनॉमिकली टू अ ग्रेट एक्सटेंट. Even the Middle Eastern countries, the Saudis, they also certainly they are, मैं ये नहीं कह रहा कि वो मदद नहीं कर रहे हैं, लेकिन उस लेवल तक की मदद नहीं कर रहे हैं जितनी चाइना से पाकिस्तान को मिल रही है फाइनेंशियली, राइट. एंड सर्टनली चाइनीज हैव गॉट देयर ओन रीजंस, दे हैव गॉट देयर ओन वेस्टेड इंटरेस्ट्स. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट, फाइनेंशियल एक्शन टास्क फोर्स के भी ये ग्रे लिस्ट पे है, दैट इज द टेरर एंगल टू इट, जहां पे अगेन इट इज द चाइनीज विच प्रोवाइड शील्ड टू मेनी टेररिस्ट ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस, मेनी टेररिस्ट ऑपरेटिंग आउट ऑफ द सॉइल ऑफ पाकिस्तान, चाहे यूनाइटेड नेशन सिक्योरिटी काउंसिल में उनको डेजिग्नेट करने की बात हो, चाहे, यू नो, सैंक्शनिंग की बात हो, या फिर ग्रे लिस्ट से ब्लैक लिस्ट पे मूव करने की बात हो, राइट. बट स्टिल चाइनाज लिमिटेशंस आर ऑलवेज देयर. चाइना अदरवाइज जो है इट कैन सर्टनली नॉट बी ऑलवेज प्रोवाइडिंग शील्ड टू पाकिस्तान, राइट. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट, एक चीज और देखो इस रिलेशनशिप में बिटवीन चाइना एंड पाकिस्तान, इट इज, यू नो, द पाकिस्तानीज, दे आर ऑलवेज क्राइंग अबाउट द राइट्स ऑफ मुस्लिम्स अक्रॉस द वर्ल्ड इंक्लूडिंग इंडिया, राइट. बट दे बिकम साइलेंट, या दे deliberately observe silence when it comes to human right violations, particularly for the Muslims, that is the Uyghur Muslims, right. So these Uyghur Muslims or these Uyghur minorities which are inhabiting the far-flung areas of China, their human rights violations, what about that? The Pakistanis, they never talk about it. Islamabad and both Rawalpindi, they are silent about it. So what does that display? That certainly displays that you simply keep shut. Human rights violations are selective and can be ignored if the interests are being served for the Pakistani side, right. And this is associated with the Winter Olympics as well, right. Russians and the Chinese, they are hand in glove. So is the case with Pakistan. Okay, despite, you know, despite there being protests across the world, in India as well, there are certainly, the Chinese are going ahead with the Winter Olympics, right. So that shows that how deep is the disregard from the Chinese and the Pakistani and even the Russian side for all the kinds of human right violations which both the Chinese and the Pakistanis keep on doing, right. So that is briefly with respect to the relationship economically and also you can say strategically, right. So let's take a question, and through that we are going to discuss the defense related aspect of the partnership. China is using Pakistan as a weapon against its enemies. Moreover, it is the all-weather dependence of Pakistan for their economic and other interests that led to this relationship. Certainly, Pranjal, we can say that, look, Pakistan is a failed state, it is a failed democracy, and it is just doing nothing but creating nuisance for all the neighbors, right? And they are just dependent upon the financial aids which they are receiving from China by just providing their territory. The China-Pakistan economic corridor, we are all aware of that. We are aware that how illegally the Chinese have been allowed to construct roads to that area, right? So all that is certainly the mischief of Pakistan and China together, right? Let's take a question now. So which of the following statements is or are correct? First, Pakistan has recently inducted its first batch of Russian-made VT-4 battle tanks. My pardon. Second, the Sakshigam Valley, also known as the Trans-Karakoram Tract, is a part of the Hunza-Gilgit region. And second, and third, China and Pakistan will jointly build the Karakoram Highway as envisaged under the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor One Belt One Road Initiative, or One Belt One Road project. That is the CPEC OBOR project. Yes, please mark your answers quickly for question number 4. Okay, Supriyo says B. देखो आप लोग के आंसर्स अगर नहीं आएंगे then certainly that is not going to be beneficial for you, right? At least try and guess it and mark your answer, even if you end up marking the incorrect one, right? At least you'll get a hunch of it that whether you'll be able to guess it or not, even despite not knowing all the facts. Okay, great. ठीक है, A और B आंसर्स आए हैं अभी तक, right? So look, when we talk about the defense related aspect between Pakistan and China, so recently it is not the Russian made but it is the Chinese made VT-4 battle tanks that have been inducted by the Pakistani army. So first is incorrect. They are not Russian made but rather they are Chinese built, right? So hence first statement will be incorrect and you can eliminate 1 A and 2 C. Then when we talk about the Sakshigam Valley, which is also known as the Trans-Karakoram Tract, and it is a part of the Hunza-Gilgit region which is illegally occupied by China, by Pakistan, and illegally they have also constructed already the Karakoram highway through it, right? This has been done and it is a reality today. So third is also incorrect, that they are not jointly going to build but they have already built it, right? So the third statement also stands to be false. So your answer will be 2 only, that is option D, sorry. Option D, right? I am afraid that neither of you could mark the option D as the answer. So it is the Chinese made VT-4 battle tanks that have been recently inducted, and you know they have also signed a defense pact, the Chinese, with the Pakistanis in 2020 itself, when they had a memorandum of understanding being negotiated and the Chinese defense minister was visiting Pakistan, right? And they have also procured China made combat drones or unmanned combat aerial vehicles, and this is a new nuisance in the bordering state of Jammu and Kashmir and the Ladakh region, that this combat drones is the new challenge which we are facing, right? Apart from that, when we talk about the Sakshagam Valley, so the Pakistanis, they've already ceded it to China, right? And the Karakoram highway built jointly was inaugurated in 1970s. So if we take a look at this map here, here you can see this is the Sakshagam Valley, right? And through that it was, you can see that this is administered by China, but it is certainly claimed by India. So here you can see all the areas which are an integral part of India, but which are illegally occupied either by China or by Pakistan, right? So that is how exactly the things stand. And please bear in mind one more thing, that this is the stretch of land where we share a border with Afghanistan. So your stated position as far as your preparation is concerned and as also an Indian should be that India shares a border with Afghanistan here. This is certainly an integral part of India, right? So be clear on that count. Chaliye. So I believe this is clear to all of you. The rest of the explanation you can read it in the PDF itself. And I'll move to the last question for the day. That is, which of the following statements is or are correct vis-a-vis the Ramsar sites in India? First, the total number of Ramsar sites in India currently stands at 48. Second, the Thol Wildlife Sanctuary and Vadwana Wetland are the latest entrants in the list of Ramsar sites. And third, Khijadia Bird Sanctuary became the 4th wetland of Gujarat to get the Ramsar tag. Yes, so these were in news very prominently. Please mark your answers regarding this question. Okay, great. So let's start discussing. Supriyo says all are correct. And where are the rest of you? C and B. Okay, great. And B. Okay, fine. So look, when we talk about the current situation, then certainly you have the current number of Ramsar sites standing at 48. That is absolutely fine with the new sites or the recently added sites, where Gujarat has the latest entrant in the form of Khijadia Bird Sanctuary, which is the 4th wetland of Gujarat to get the Ramsar tag. So that is also fine, right? But the Thol Wildlife Sanctuary, these were added in last year. These were added in 2021. So they are not the latest entrants, right? And hence, no, we have 48. Mehboob, is it the case that we have 40? We have 48 Ramsar sites in India right now, right? Ha. Bhakira and Hijaria are the latest, exactly, and that is where the second statement stands to be false, right? So your answer will be 1 and 3, that is first and third are correct, right? With the latest entrants being Khijadia, that is here you can see in this particular area, this area, here you have the Khijadia Sanctuary, right? This map you can just zoom it even more, and in this particular area, here you have the, yes, here it is even visible better, right? That is the precise area which I was trying to show to you. That is the Khijadia or the Khijadia Bird Sanctuary. That is the latest entrant, right? Great, great, great. Okay, Pranjal, if that is the case, then we'll fine. If that is the case, 49 sites, then certainly okay, then we'll change that statement. Absolutely fine. Point taken. If that is the case, I'll just reconfirm it and I'll change that statement and we'll make it to 49, right? If that is the case. Great. Then on that count, really my apologies on that front. Okay, great, fine. Then it might be the case that Express might have quoted it wrongly, because that is where I had picked it up. Fine, Pranjal, Ahana and Mehboob, point taken, right? So that is going to be, the count is going to be at 49. Absolutely fine. Then we can do one thing, that we can make it, we'll rephrase the statement and we'll make it 49 here, right? And then it will be, the answer will be 1 and 3, right? Okay, great, and thanks for that mentioning of that point, right? Chaliye, so that is basically the bird sanctuary near Jamnagar in Gujarat and the Bakhira Wildlife Sanctuary in Uttar Pradesh, right? which have been listed as wetlands of international importance by the Ramsar Convention, right? And this is the 4th wetland to get a tag of Ramsar site in Gujarat, right? And apart from that, the Nal Sarovar, Thol Wildlife and the Vadhan wetland, these are the other wetland sites in the state of Gujarat. So Gujarat right now is having its 4th Ramsar site being added. 3 were added earlier only, and the Thol Wildlife and the Vadhan, they were added last year in 2021 April, right? Chalo, great. So with that, we have come to an end of this session. These are certain other facts related to the Khijadia bird sanctuary. You can read it in the PDF itself, right? So thank you so much for your interactive participation, for all your inputs, right, and making this session successful. And on that count, I'll wind up. Have a great weekend. Stay safe, study well, follow COVID appropriate behavior, and Jai Hind and bye-bye.